Hi everyone. Today I'm going to model for you how to begin your first literary analysis, focusing on the landlady that we just finished working with. The prompt that's given to you in the folder for today says, how does Roald Dahl use the literary technique of foreshadowing to affect the plot of the landlady? So I'm going to answer that question as I write out my paragraph. I'm going to show you the first several sentences of this literary analysis and allow you to use these exact sentences to start your paragraph. You can just add on after we go through the first few together. So to begin, we have to answer this prompt with a topic sentence. So again, the prompt says, how does Roald Dahl use the literary technique of foreshadowing to affect the plot of the landlady? So I'm going to start by adding my topic sentence that says, foreshadowing helps to develop the plot of the landlady by Roald Dahl by building suspense and hinting at the fate that awaits the protagonist, Billy Weaver. So I just, in essence, answered the prompt question, and now I need to prove it. I need to prove it with points, proof, and polish, just like we did in the bare paragraph. So the next thing I'm going to include is simply just a definition of foreshadowing right into my paragraph. Foreshadowing is the writer's use of hints or clues to suggested events that will occur later in the story. Great. Now I need my point number one. So I need to know exactly what Dahl did initially that I'm going to explore in this analysis. So here comes point number one. Dahl initially includes foreshadowing as Billy enters the bed and breakfast, warning that something seems strange about the landlady. That's my point number one. And for the sake of today, I'm going to highlight that so that we can continue to explore that. That's point number one. Now I need my proof. I need my textual evidence. So I have to prove that Dahl actually did this. And here it is. For instance, he writes, there's my signal phrase, and it is such a pleasure, my dear, such a very great pleasure, when now and again I open the door and see someone standing there who is just exactly right. Now, where did I get that? Oh, remember the chart that we worked on? If I go back into Schoology, it's in your OneDrive. You've already got this filled out completely. You've got 5 examples of foreshadowing, including the quote that I just used. And on the right-hand side, you've already begun analyzing the effect of that foreshadowing on the plot. So we're simply going to copy this information over into our analysis paragraph. So we have point number one. We have proof number one. Put that in a different color. And now we need the polish. We need to explain what's happening here. This is where the analysis comes in. So I have my quote. Well, what exactly is that quote saying? It says, Dahl indicates that the landlady may have been watching and waiting for a particular type of person. So now I need to explain that a little further. What's the so what? What does this have to do with Billy? So I'm adding, strangely, she seems to have a fondness for young adult males. We learn that later in the story with some of the atrocities that she's done. But I need to further explain, well, what, again, does that have to do with Billy? This does not bode well for 17-year-old Billy. He is a young adult male, and we know that she does some not great things in her bed and breakfast. So here, I have added my commentary to help explain the point and the proof that I included. So let me run through these sentences again so you can hear what they sound like all together. Foreshadowing helps to develop the plot of The Landlady by Roald Dahl by building suspense and hinting at the fate that awaits the protagonist, Billy Weaver. Foreshadowing is the writer's use of hints or clues to suggest events that will occur later in the story. Dahl initially includes foreshadowing as Billy enters the bed and breakfast, warning that something seems strange about the landlady. For instance, he writes, "And it is such a pleasure, my dear, such a very great pleasure, when now and again I open the door and see someone standing there who is just exactly right." Dahl indicates that the landlady may have been watching and waiting for a particular type of person. Strangely, she seems to have a fondness for young adult males. This does not bode well for 17-year-old Billy. There is my point, my proof, and some polished sentences, and now I just need to repeat that same format 2 more times. So what you're going to do is to add in a transition. Here's your transition. A second example of foreshadowing occurs, and you're going to complete that thought. Where are you getting that information? From your chart. So you're going to choose what are the 2 strongest examples of foreshadowing that you have on the left-hand side that you know you can explain from information on the right-hand side. Copy and paste that information into your paragraph. As I mentioned earlier, you are absolutely allowed to use the beginning of my paragraph, all of these sentences that I have in front of you. You may copy all of them over to use as the beginning of your paragraph and simply mimic what I did in the highlighted section. The point, the proof, and the polish. You're going to do that 2 more times. So you have 2 more points, proofs, and polishes. And then you will close up your paragraph with a strong clincher sentence. If you have any questions or you need any help, send me a message or an email.